it, but I'd like to turn this over to Brad Lyons, President of Power Systems West.
Thank you. All right, let me just share out my screen here. All right. Thank you. So I'm Brad Lyons. I'm President of Power Systems West, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today to talk about our business and to talk to you about a career in the trades. So I've been doing this. I've been in the industry for about 20 years. I came over after 15 years of working for a company called Palmer Johnson Power Systems. We were very much in the off-highway industry, and I've been supporting the trades throughout that whole time. And what excites me about being here today is really the career path that the trades can offer is an exciting one. And I think it's not something that is being taught all that much in high schools today, but if you have a passion for working hard, if you like to work on things, if you're hands-on, maybe if you like math, a path in the trades is a good one because you can jump right in right after high school. You can get some technical training. This industry is very good at providing that technical training, and then you can have a bright career path. If you have leadership capabilities, there's tons of opportunities for people that want to work hard again and have that leadership potential. So I'm here to present to you guys today Power Systems West and talk a little bit about our team. I've got several of my team members here today to help me do that. So we'll just get started. All right, so Power Systems West is located we have 7 states in our territory. We have 5 locations within that territory. And we're here in the Pacific Northwest. You can see we have a Portland location, which is our headquarters. And some of you might have went and saw the EC Electric presentation. We are an extension of that company. So we're a separate company owned by EC Electric. We have a Seattle location, a Boise location, Denver, and Salt Lake City. And in each of those, we're really set up to service the market and provide great value. So within the industry as a whole, you're going to see that the companies that provide, that have trades are often really well-established companies, and EC Electric and Power Systems West is no different. We're very much value-oriented. We're family-owned, so we're a private company, and we really focus on the values, the core values, and we try to embody those at all levels. So you'll see there integrity, safety, quality, fulfillment, and profitability are our 5 core values, and we really believe in those. We hire by those, and we really try to teach each of our employees to live by these values, and we believe those are key to our future. We do a lot in the community. As you can see, we're very community involved, and we believe our people are an important part to the community and the community that we serve. So today I've got 3 team members, myself and 2 team members from our service department that are going to present. And then we also have Anissa Solberg here from our HR department. So we have 80 dedicated people within these 7 states, and we have about, I believe, 35 to 40 service technicians that are actually out in the field. And we have one of those here, Ben Barnes, to discuss the field today with you. And we also have Carlos Ventura, our service manager, who's been with us since 2006. And all of us have extensive backgrounds in this kind of trades world. So I think it's a good group to have come in and talk to you about what that can look like. My background, I'm actually an engineer. I went to Purdue University, graduated in 2001. I worked for Ford Motor Company coming out of school. Really what got me into this was my grandpa. So back when I was your age and when I was a teenager in high school, my grandpa was an engineer and introduced me into this field, took me under his wing. My dad was in industrial sales, and I really started to get interested in what that could look like. So went to Purdue, and here I am 20 years later. So next we're going to kind of talk about Power Systems West and what exactly we do. Power Systems West provides Kohler generators. Power Systems has been in business since 1955. Kohler has been providing power to the industry since 1920. So over 100 years, Kohler Power has been in place. Some of you may know Kohler in bathrooms, but they also have this power division that's really prevalent and one of the top three backup power providers in the industry. They provide all kinds of backup power. So really, I understand that the electrical trades is a very popular one these days. And being in the backup power industry is a chance for technicians to get a chance working with electricity, but doing it somewhat on the mechanical side. So we provide diesel engines with alternators behind them that create backup power. So these allow us to come online in critical situations when maybe utility power is not available. So electricity is lost and our diesel and natural gas generators come online to protect these critical industrial applications. So I'm going to go through some applications, but I'll just run through all the different generators that you might see. There's also mobile generators, which could be used on construction sites. We have residential generators, which are actually really common and very popular during times of natural disaster. That's when, unfortunately, we sell a lot of these, but our generators are there to back up people when the electrical lines get knocked over, during the fires, during really any kind of inclement weather, our generators can be used. We also have portable generators, which we're not going to talk too much about today. What Power Systems West does is we have, as I said, nearly 40 technicians, and we provide scheduled maintenance. We have service agreements to provide service to all of these these backup power generators all across our territory. We're really essential, and we're considered part of the emergency service because some of the generators we provide are really key to the infrastructure of our territory. So as you'll see, these are some of the major contracts we've had for service over the last 30 years. So you can see we do a lot in the grocery store world. A lot of grocery stores have backup power for their cash registers. So we back up Albertsons all across our territory. We also are key in the telecommunications. So AT&T and Verizon have together about 3,000 cell towers within our territory, and we have service contracts to ensure that these cell towers don't go down. So what's that mean for you? Over the last few weeks, as the fires have been rampant here in the Pacific Northwest, our team was out refueling. In 2 weeks, we did over 300 refuels. So when the utility power went down, our team was out there fueling the backup power with fuel so that those towers could stay up and running. And that's why your TikTok and your Snapchat remained in place throughout those fires. It was really our team out there in the field as an extension to the first responders working closely to keep those cell towers up and running. It's not something that you necessarily think of when the fires are burning our communities, but there were a lot of service technicians and a lot of tradesmen actually that were employed as essential workforce to keep this infrastructure up and running. You could see some other ones in there that you might know: Lowe's, Fred Meyer, Home Depot. Those are all the types of customers we do work for. Again, I mentioned essential workforce, and you can kind of see that may or may not mean anything to you, but when COVID first struck and the pandemic took over, there was a group of employers that were considered essential workforce. So essential to keeping infrastructure of the United States up and running. And basically, our people did not lose jobs. They were able to maintain work throughout all of this. We were really required to be there so that these generators could continue to run and continue to provide backup power to the world. And you can see we've got some pretty cool pictures there. There's one of our service techs at a mobile telecom site with the cell tower. He's performing service on that cell tower. You can see also just the LinkedIn post that we had here when the fires were really running crazy here in Northern California and Oregon. Our team was out there carefully navigating the roads, relying on their GPS, relying on those cell towers to make sure they were safe. And it was really our service team working together hand in hand that allowed us to keep this infrastructure up and running. And then down here on the bottom is a picture of Ben, our lead technician, who's going to speak here in a little bit, who's doing a startup. I believe he's actually on that site today. That's a data center backing up the data for many of our tech companies. Next up, we're going to jump into life in the trade. So just to give you an idea, we did a photo competition a couple of years back, and it'll kind of give you an idea of what a field tech, what they might be exposed to in their day-to-day jobs. And you can just see there's some fun pictures of our service techs. We've had all kinds of needs to rent, to get up to some of these cell tower sites. And right now we're in a crunch. We're trying to finish our cell tower service before we get to November, because really then it starts to get a lot of snow. It starts to get harder and harder to get to these cell towers. Our team works closely together. And you can see sometimes we have to do special lifts. These do require cranes to lift these cranes in. And we're often on construction sites working closely with the general contractor, the electrical contractor, to make sure our equipment gets installed and connected to the utility power. A couple more. Yeah, these are some good cell tower pictures. And the next thing we're going to talk about is just kind of the overall compensation packet. So when you get into the trades, you're going to find that many companies like ours are really set up so that you can walk in and do well right away. And I'm going to have Nissa come in now and talk a little bit about what our benefits packet looks like and the benefits that we offer to our employees.
Thank you, Brad. So as Brad mentioned, I'm the HR manager for Power Systems West. I've been with the company for about 5 years and started at the bottom and kind of worked my way up from an admin position. But some of the benefits that we offer here are not just salary that you can see on the screen there, but we have full health, dental, medical, prescription coverage for a very low price. We have a 401k, which a lot of times people don't think about. You come into it automatically earning vacation. So 3 weeks of vacation in your first year with the company, which is outstanding. Paid holidays. But in addition to that, you come in making a pretty good compensation right off the bat in a lot of our positions. Some of the other positions that we're not touching on today, really, because you'll hear from Brad or from Ben and Carlos, is we also have other kind of support roles that support our field technicians and support our power systems branches. So there's, payroll, we need to get people paid. There's IT, there's inside and outside sales. We need to get those generators sold, right? So it's kind of things that you don't really think about when we're talking about the service of our generators.
Yeah, thanks, Anissa. And that also means that there's opportunities. Often when you come into the trades, you start out in one position and you end up finding opportunities and maybe you move up within the trades, maybe you move into a service manager's role or even cross over into outside sales. There's lots of opportunities within companies like this. One thing that we offer is we do have a pay progression schedule. So we bring employees in as apprentices and we ramp them up pretty quick through the pay ranks. So you not only when you hire in with a good wage, but if you work hard, again, you have that skill to work hard and you can learn, then you're going to progress pretty quickly. And when we bring a technician on, we often pair them up with a lead technician, and then we provide them also factory training, which is very good in our industry. So
hey, Brad, can I?
Yes, Aaron.
Can I sorry to jump in. We do have a question, and I didn't want to move too far away from the topic because it relates, but we have a question from Jaden. He's want to know how old he needs to be to start a career here. or if you just maybe talk a little bit about what do you see from young people as they enter this career, and any advice there?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's a lot of ways to enter into the trades. There are trade schools out there. And if you're going to become a diesel mechanic, it's good to look into the trade schools, but often companies are looking for people that want to come in, and even some larger companies like ours will have apprentice programs where you can come in right out of high school. Now, I don't believe I'm not sure what we have in place for training technicians right out of high school, but there are companies that do have that. Do you know, Anissa, can you speak more to that?
I was going to say we have on the job training. So, we've done some intern positions in the past to kind of just learn about the trade and learn about what it really means to be a technician, as well as, I might be jumping ahead, sorry, but it's on the job training. So because we're a Kohler distributor, you go through all of the Kohler training as well. So not only is it hands-on, but you're going through what the manufacturer is looking for to sell and service and really know their product, and not just throw you out to the field and kind of have you fumble. We pair you up with another technician. We have you go through an extensive training before you even go out into the field.
Yeah, and I think if you're interested in this and you are graduating from high school, there are programs out there, and a lot of companies that are looking for people that have interest in this. So I think, reaching out to your counselor, talking about that, and even feel free to reach out directly to me or Anissa, and I think we can help put resources around you, because there's lots of companies out there like ours. There's big companies, Caterpillar, Cummins, that are very interested in people that have that will to learn the trade. Maybe if you've grown up working on things, or you're very interested in mechanics, I think it's definitely something worth looking into early rather than later. Any other questions there, Aaron, or can?
Yeah, one more question, because it does relate. This question is, what experience in related or non-related fields is recommended or typical? So is there maybe an adjacent industry that they could get some hands-on experience or relevant experience for this particular work?
That's a good question. And I'm thinking that Ben might be able to. Do you have anything to respond to that, Ben? I think you're muted, Ben.
So for me personally, I got out of high school and did not have a want to go to school. So I went to work for the motorhome business and got started that way. And through then got all the training I needed to translate over into the power generation field. So companies like, companies like that are very helpful in translating between the two careers.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. There's a lot of equipment out there that needs people that are interested in this stuff. So I could probably provide some resources afterwards back to you, Aaron, on places that you might look for that type of thing.
That sounds great. And another thing that I will mention here, particularly for apprenticeship, is there are a number of pre-apprenticeship programs in the Portland area. So for people that are interested in the work but don't necessarily have the skills, this is a great way to learn entry-level skill sets that directly relate to the skilled trades, and also learn about the industry and make necessary contacts. So we can also provide that information as well.
Yeah, companies it's getting harder and harder to find people that want to do this work and that are interested in it, which means that the jobs are paying better, and the longer you're in it, the more valuable you become to the industry. It's just, it is, if you're interested in this type of thing, it is really a good thing to look into. Okay. And the next thing I was going to speak to, which Anissa spoke to a little bit, and so did Ben, is just training. this field is known for, we know that this is not something you were born with. It has to be trained. And Kohler is just one example of what the industry is doing to train technicians. So there's excellent training. They provide online training. There's a series of training at the factory that you would go to. And then we also provide, peer-to-peer training. So Ben, for example, has over 20 years of experience working on all kinds of things. He's on the phone all day long. He'll have technicians ride with him. And it's just, you get a good opportunity to really learn. And then at some point you get an opportunity to begin training too, which is another way that a lot of employees enjoy growth, is helping the next generation learn. There's also, I have seen people that have gone into the trades and then ended up going back to school to become engineers. The military is another way of getting into this type of career. They offer great training there as well. One cool thing in our business is our technicians are all field technicians. So we have every technician, right when they join our company, they get a service truck, which Ben's sitting in his today, and I'm going to have him show off a little bit here in a minute. The trucks are equipped for the job. We provide tooling, and then our technicians often buy quite a bit of their own tooling as well. So you can see that it's pretty nice to have your own company vehicle, and it really, we make sure our technicians have the tools they need. So next up, we're gonna just meet our Oregon service team, and I'd like to start out with thanking Carlos Ventura. He's here with me today. He's our service manager here in Portland. I was hoping Carlos could come on and tell a little bit about his background and just what you do. Maybe you could end with what the Kohler training looks like. Carlos, are you there?
Yep. Thank you, Brad. Good afternoon. My name is Carlos. I am the service manager for the Oregon region. I started with Power Systems West in 2006. During my senior high school year, I started looking to see what type of programs my high school offer at the time. I started to kind of look to see what program will kind of motivate me to actually do something. So I noticed on the programs they had a what they call automotive shop at the time. So I took the first semester, and after going to the class, we actually started learning just the basic maintenance of a vehicle, just how to do your oil changes, how to change your filter, how to do your fuel filter. We also started learning a little bit more into it where, how to change your spark plug wires, you need to gap your spark plug wires. So there was more involvement with the teachers to hang on to, that we can do stuff with, with spark plugs and filters. I remember, we will actually just do some oil changes. The teachers will bring their vehicles to our shop, and then we will, do the oil changes, replace the filters. So we started getting a little bit more involved. I was actually, we actually got a little bit more involved too on doing brake jobs, like your calipers, your rotors. So the teacher was kind of showing us how to do that process, which is a little bit more critical. So after we did something, the teacher will actually pretty much double check, make sure that we did the right work. After high school, I started kind of looking to see what programs the college offered, which was almost in the same where I wanted to be, work in engines. I wanted to, actually work on, on vehicles. So I started to look into, what type of programs. I got involved in a program at Clackamas High School at that time. I actually applied at that time at a parts store I noticed that they had a parts position available. So I actually applied. I didn't have a lot of experience. I thought I wasn't going to get hired. So they called me, they did the job interview, and suddenly they called me and say, hey, we want you to come on board. So I was actually hired as a, parts person. So I started learning the whole process. I started learning, learning the breakdown of an engine. I started learning pretty much, from injectors to your pistons. So pretty much everything that involves an engine, I started actually learning after that. After learning pretty much the basic stuff of an engine, we had a machine shop in the back, which they actually rebuild these engines. They work on it. So I actually was involved in that too. So I actually went into the shop and I started learning, how to turn rotors, how to grind your flywheels, how to actually do, work on pistons, how to pretty much work on your cylinder heads. After that, I was actually promoted to the store manager because I got involved with everybody. So I was actually promoted to the store manager. So I oversee the entire parts ordering area. So I was, involved in, make sure that we order the parts for the customers. Also, the stock orders that we usually get every week, I was involved in that to make sure that we had the right part at the right time there in our stock. After that, I was actually promoted to the store manager after that. So I actually managed that entire store. So my role there was a little bit more than that because I used to, pretty much manage, make sure our employees had what they needed to, to do their job, manage pretty much that entire stock level that we had in the store. So I actually was involved in more details, I started getting involved with the customers, calling customers, make sure that, they actually, calling us to make sure that we supplied the right parts that they needed. So I started growing the parts business in the store. I started to get involved with the customer. We started we call it a partnership. I always have that in my mind. One stop. Customer called me, it's because they want to make sure that we resolve their problems. So that was my actual goal. So I had about 9 years of experience when I came with, to Power Systems West in that side of business. On board, I was actually hired as a parts person here at Power Systems West, which formerly known as East Power System. I was actually hired as a parts person. I started to learn the product. I started to get involved a little bit more of that industrial engine that we offer, which is a little bit different than your vehicle engine. This is a little bit more heavy duty. So I started getting involved a little bit. I started to talking to the customers on the phone. I started to get involved, taking orders. After a few years after doing that and knowing the product, I was actually promoted to the inside sales position, which was a little bit different because I actually was dealing with backup power generators at that time then. So I dealt with backup power generators, complete engines. So I started to kind of pretty much learn the process from the sales perspective, from the beginning of the phone call at the end of the phone call, to make sure that the customer received what they asked for. So I started to learn the process. I started to learn also the product because it was important to me to learn the product, because if the customer called me, I will know exactly what they were talking about. I will make sure, that they actually, if they were looking for a backup power generator, I was be able to give them the right answer at the time. So it took me, it's a process for you to learn everything. It doesn't happen right away. So I started to learn about, backup power generators. I started to call electricians. I started to deal with engineer people. I started to talk to our suppliers, so make sure that I was keep updated with our suppliers, what new product they have out. So starting to get involved a little bit more into that. Once I knew the product, I actually was promoted to the outside salesperson position, which that was a little bit more different because now instead of being in one place, I was actually out there on the road talking to the customers, showing the product that we offer, talking to electrical engineer, visiting job sites. I actually cover half of the state of Oregon at that time and some part of Washington. So I did travel a lot, but actually was able to, talk to the engineers before the product came out. So I can show them exactly, hey, this is what we offer. So when their pretty much whole job came out, they say, hey, we're gonna be able to, apply Kohler into this actually product at that time. I started doing that. I started, traveling, talking to customers, and then after that, I was actually promoted to parts manager for Oregon and Washington. So I was actually oversee both parts department for Oregon and Washington. My job was actually to make sure that we had the right part for the customer when they call, make sure that we actually were able to support our service department because, they do maintenance on the generators and they do also repairs. So make sure that we support them with parts and also, make sure that we also had the right part in stock. My goal was there to have, just become the one shop stop for our customers. When they call us, we were able to supply the product. We were able to actually maintenance the product. We were able to repair the product too if we need to. So that was actually my goal. So after that, I actually did that when I was actually promoted to a service manager, which I'm now the service manager, which I actually oversee, like I said earlier, the Oregon state. So the Oregon, I actually oversee the whole service department for the Oregon region. My job now is actually to monitor the process that currently we have for painting jobs, make sure that we repair the customers' generators, make sure that we actually maintain their generators, make sure we keep a relationship with our customers, make sure they understand, hey, we're here to support you. We're here to, whenever you need a service, we're here for you to actually, make sure that you don't feel like you have to call somebody else, make sure that we're here to support your need. Also, it's important for me to make sure that, our technicians, they have the right tool. And Ben will talk a little bit more about that too, because he's actually a part of our group. So it's actually critical for them to have the right tool for the job site, also to keep them safe, to make sure, the workspace that they're working, it's actually safe. And also I deal with a lot of customers, over the phone. They have issues, concerns. They actually call me. I answer any questions they have. And then I also, when we hire a new technician on board, I'm involved in the training, to make sure they get the right training before they go out in the field and start, working by themselves. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Carlos. Carlos does a great job for us. As he's been in this role, our service department has really grown and done just a great job providing service to the industry. And as you can see, there's a clear progression for Carlos. He's one of those people, he's got a real drive to work hard. He's great at customer service. He's great with people. And I think he's really helped us transform what we're doing here in Oregon. So thank you, Carlos. With that, I was hoping Ben Barnes, our lead technician who's in the field today, could come in and talk about what you do, Ben, talk about your background, how you got here, and maybe show off that truck a little bit.
So my name is Ben Barnes. I've been with EC/Power Systems West for almost 9 years. I came here for the Kohler product. I had worked on the Kohler product with the distributor who had it before us, and I decided that I wanted to follow that Kohler product as Power Systems West took it over. So I came to work with Power Systems West. One of the great things about Power Systems West is it gives you the opportunity to excel at a great pace if you so choose to. Our bosses are very supportive in what we do. Carlos, for instance, is involved in our day-to-day activities. He's great about if we need something, he jumps right on it. We, as a team, we really came together under Carlos's leadership, and it's been really nice over the last couple of years to see us grow into where we are today. My primary job is to work out in the field, also help technicians grow. We sometimes hire technicians that don't have the overall generator experience, and that's what we step in for as journeyman and lead service techs, is we help those guys grow. Nobody on our team is looked upon as lesser than the next guy. We want everybody to be at the very top. All of us on our team have our phones on 24 hours a day. So if somebody gets a service call, somebody needs help, we're here to support them. And it really shows how good we do work together. Today, I'm out working at a data center out in Hillsboro. Excuse me, I gotta fly. I'm working out in a data center out in Hillsboro where we've installed 4 3,250 kW generators and one 1,500 kW generator. So you can see we work on very big equipment and we work on 50 kW smaller equipment. My week starts on usually the Wednesday prior. I sit down with my admin team, and we schedule for the following week. Then my admin team calls the customer and lets them know that, where we're going to be. So then the customer knows what time we're going to show up. But with that being said, it's up to me. The accountability is up to me to make sure I show up on time, to make sure that I do what the customer is needing, and to communicate with the customer if he needs something above and beyond with what we're servicing. So I am lucky to drive a pretty awesome truck, and I'll try to switch my screen around here and show it to you. Did that switch?
Yeah, we can see it, Ben.
What's that?
Yeah, we can see it.
So there's my service truck. As you go around, you'll see I hold parts for a lot of the jobs in the truck, as well as I stock all the tools that I need on the truck. The back of the truck here, I've got a waste oil barrel and a filter oil barrel. The thing that says EC Power Systems is a load bank that's used to test the generators and make sure that they function when the customer needs them to. You can see that we stock a ton of oil and antifreeze. We also do, as Brad said, refuels. So I have 100 gallons of diesel that I store in my truck, that if I need to go out and do an emergency refuel, I'm able to do it. And then moving around, kind of show you the tool side of the game. So here's all the tools I have in my truck. This probably tool is the most important one. It's a digital voltmeter. It's used for diagnosis as well as testing. It's probably the biggest tool, the most important tool in this business. Moving along, you see I've got a full toolbox in with all pliers and wrenches and everything else in it. So, yeah. So like I said, our main goal is to get out to the customer and fix what they need, because most times that we get a call, the customer's needing backup power. And it doesn't matter the time of day or night it is, we try to get out there and get them power as quick as possible. So that's what I've got.
Thank you, Ben. That was awesome. Yeah, so a couple things that jump out to me is, I explained this a little bit, but basically the engines that we work on are the engines convert to electricity. So we take diesel power and we put an alternator on the back of that, and we convert that to electricity. So it's mechanical converting to electrical. So our team bridges the gap, and the power generation industry as a whole kind of bridges the gap between diesel mechanical. So, probably where Ben originally started working on diesel applications, to converting that into electrical. And also, when Ben goes on site, it's very critical that he understands both mechanical and electrical, because he could be troubleshooting a problem on an engine today, and he could be looking at the transfer switch, which is helping convert that into utility power the next day. So it takes a special technician, one that really is able to learn the product and spends really their whole career in it to be able to do what he does. And that's why I think it is if you're interested in being an electrician or interested in that path, the power generation technicians is an interesting one, and it's something that's going to be around. Now, whether it'll be diesel power or natural gas that we're using as backup to the electrical grid, the future will tell us that. But this technology and this need is definitely going to be around for the future. So I believe that's what we had prepared for you guys today. I'd like to thank everybody for showing up and open it up for some questions. Aaron, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Brad and Ben and Carlos. Great presentation stuff there. So we do have a couple questions, and also, for those that are still on, this would be your opportunity to answer or ask any questions in the Q&A function, in the Q&A chat box. So first question is, how does pay increase over time and with promotions?
Yeah, so I'll speak to the industry as a whole and power systems. if you work hard, there's going to be progression in pay. As a technician, it's very difficult to retain good technicians. So as soon as you start to prove yourself, you become in high demand, as Ben knows. Ben's probably worked for every power generation company out there. And you start to look to, find the right place to spend your career, which Power Systems West is great for that because we have a really good all-around benefits package. But the pay is going to ramp up really quickly in this industry. And there's also a lot of opportunity for overtime because we're supporting critical infrastructure. So it's definitely a good place to make good money and to, like Carlos mentioned, all the different roles Carlos has been in. I'm the same story. I started out as a sales engineer. I've been a branch manager, a director of service, vice president, and now president of Power Systems West. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth in this industry, and it does ramp up pretty quickly. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. Next question is, what are the most important classes to take in high school to get into a job or a field like this?
Good question. I don't know what trades are available in your school. Generally being able to, generally if you have an interest in math is a pretty much standard for kind of problem solving and thinking in a problem solving kind of manner. There's often trades like Carlos mentioned. He was in the auto shop when he was in high school. I also had trades in high school or auto shop. Sometimes you can get into special programs for that. And I would say to reach out to your guidance counselor if you have an interest in this and ask those questions. And again, we could do a little bit of research of what's available today. We're all pretty far from the high school days. Do you have any extra thoughts on that, Ben, of what classes might be available today?
Yeah, so I would have to say any ag class, any auto class in high school, and then translating over into the diesel field in college. A lot of the colleges, the two that I know that are the best in regards to power generation preparation is Lynn Benton Community College out of Albany and Idaho State University out of Pocatello, Idaho. Used to be in the old days, Pocatello, Idaho State was producing all of the top-notch generator guys. I mean, the guy that did it there was doing a heck of a job. Now, these other schools have seen that, Lynn Benton, and now they do it's an 18-month course. So you do 12 months of diesel mechanics, and then you go back and do a 6-month course of power generation. And, the guys that are coming out have basic troubleshooting skills. They're seeing a lot of the stuff right off the bat. And when we get those guys, or when I've seen those guys in the field, they have that knowledge it takes, and they usually progress. You talk about the pay scale. Those guys are usually the ones that just really jump up the ladder in the pay scale because they're so good at what they do from the training they received from those two colleges.
Yeah, we're always looking for someone with a baseline of knowledge and a willingness to learn, as well as that work ethic. Those are the things that we really look for.
Great, thank you. A really good question here. This is about sustainability. So is the sustainability of generators increasing from Power System West, or is that dependent on the manufacturers, and are efforts made on both sides for product sustainability?
Sustainability in terms of, I'm guessing environmental sustainability. Is that what we're thinking we're responding to, Aaron?
To me, this sounds more like product sustainability. So how do you increase the sustainability or the long-term use of generators? Is that something built into the design of them, or is it more of a maintenance issue?
Yeah, the generator business as a whole is an interesting one. I guess I didn't touch on that, but basically, as you kind of look to the city that you're in, and if it's growing, and Kohler's done a really good job. Kohler's a very innovative company. Like I said, they've been around for 100 years, but they don't stop trying to make the best product. So, and you know, Cat and Cummins also, I'm sure people have heard of those two companies, that they put a lot of money into these products. In terms of the environment, there's also been a lot of standards that have been put in place for emissions to drive these engine companies forward to, you know, push out clean air. So all of that went into the R&D of these engines, and they just continue to put R&D into it. We are placing, even during this pandemic, we never really slowed down. Now, some of the buying got delayed, but there's always going to be a need, and there's even more of a need as everyone starts to rely more and more on the electrical grid. There's more and more of a need, more and more criticalness around having backup power. So it's really a sustainable industry. It's actually the reason I switched over. So when I was working for Palmer Johnson Power Systems for the last 15 years, we were heavily tied to oil and gas. And I could see that oil and gas is not, well, one, it's not good for the environment. And secondly, it's less sustainable. You know, you just don't know what the future is in oil and gas, but the electrical grid is here to stay. And there are problems to maintaining it, to having more and more people, you know, all these cars go electric. As everything goes electric, you have to figure out a way to back that up. So it's a very sustainable industry. Did you have something to add, Ben? I saw you on mute. No? Okay.
I would just like to add that the current status is there's more generators on the ground that need to be worked on than there is technicians to possibly work on them. That's how much backlog we are on trying to get generators fixed and or PMs done. So it's a very, very good business to be in.
Yeah, that's a good point. The just to think about the telecom and just thinking about these cell towers, there's we have 1,800 Verizon towers that we maintain and 1,200 AT&T just in our 7 states. But as we move to 5G, there's supposed to be 4 times the amount of towers coming online. Every single one of those is going to require backup power. We have 35 technicians. So, you know, we have, I think, currently 6,000 generators under contract that we maintain just in our 7 states. But there's a lot of work out there. We literally have to add technicians to keep up because we're at about 90% utilization as it is. So.
Wow, that's interesting. All right, the last question here is, how has your company responded to COVID-19?
Yeah, it's a good question. As I mentioned, we're part of a larger company. We're a subsidiary of EC Electric. We have over 1,000 employees throughout the whole company, and we've got a culture of safety within our company. Right away, our company added money to what we call a care foundation. We added over $2 million to this care foundation to make sure that our employees had what they needed moving into this, because we weren't sure what we were getting into with COVID. Now, I can tell you from my previous job, we were hit really hard in that oil and gas industry. Moving over to EC Electric has had a record year in terms of sales. We've been able to keep everyone safe through our safety protocol. Actually, Casey Cullen, who's muted and I know standing by, led our crisis management team internally, and we put a lot of focus on keeping our people safe, on wearing masks, on keeping our reproduction rate down. If someone got sick, we did not want them to spread it to anyone within our company. And to date, we have had, we're on a lot of sites. We're on huge construction sites. We have technicians in the field. We have offices. And to date, we have had 0 cases of anyone within our company getting it from someone within our company. Now, we have had, I believe the number 7 total cases throughout the company. and no reproduction. So no one's given that to anyone within our company. So they've all got it from kind of an outside family event or Sturgis or whatever that was. We've put a lot of effort into going online, and I believe we've learned to collaborate in new ways. Like we're all here today by Zoom. Our team has very much been collaborating by Zoom over the last year. We've been very intentional about having people work from home and having everyone think about everyone's safety every single day. So I would say I feel proud at the way EC Electric and Power Systems West has responded. I feel proud of my team in the field. We've had 2 really solid months, and we're coming into a 3rd solid month. So I think we've definitely figured out a way to adapt to this new mode of work. And if we have to be in it for another year, we're ready to go. Not that any of us want that. I was able to go fishing with Ben last week, and we were wearing our masks and out there, and it felt really good to almost get back to what could feel like a normal life and start to, build our interpersonal relations again. But right now we're doing it all by Zoom.
Great, thank you.
Carlos or Ben, you want to add to that? Okay. Well, thank you guys for all the great questions. We've appreciated it. Like I said, we could follow up with you, Aaron, and provide some what we think might be some good resources. I just want to do a little bit of research on that before I provide anything there.
That sounds good. You can just send it to me and I'll make sure it gets to all the students and the schools that we've outreached for these events. And so in closing, I want to hand it back over to Lisa, who has a quick ending for any students that